I'm here next to Jay Booksbaum.
Hi. Nice to meet you, Sharon.
Yeah, thank you. It's, you know what, for me, it's the best place to be here right now. It's raining outside, it's cold, but inside it's so hot. What's going on here?
It's really hot. It's really wonderful to be able to see this kind of quality and this kind of excitement around wine. You know, growing up, Uzis were the things that came out of Israel. You know, tanks were the things that came out of Israel. And lately, it's been drugs and computers that came out of Israel. But when you think of France and you think of Italy, it's what? Wine, fashion, and food. And here, we're going to show that all over again, that really Israel is about wine and good food.
So I was so excited to hear your words here. For me, the knowledge that you have about Israel. Did you ever been in Israel?
Oh, I've been in Israel many times. יש לי אחות שמה, במטיסדורף. I don't know if your viewers will be so happy about that sometimes, but I also have cousins in Tel Aviv and in the rest of the country. It's a wonderful place. And actually, I was the guy who did that. I actually skied in the morning in the Golan, took a plane in the afternoon, and recently I got my scuba license and went to Coral Sea Divers and scuba dived in the afternoon down in Eilat.
It seems that you are very smart and sharp. Are you working on TV or something?
No, I'm not working on TV, but you got a job for me?
Yes, of course.
Thank you very much.
Back to wine. Tell me your favorite wine.
You know, we have so many favorite wines. It's interesting. People ask me I just got a call this morning. What wine should I buy for Pesach, And I always tell people you should buy the wine that you like most. So you really have to find out that the favorite wine for me might be different for the favorite wine for you. You might like white and off-dry. I might like heavy, rich reds with big fruit bombs. Other people might like red wines that are more complex, more reserved. So I would say that if you're interested in wine in general and you're willing to experiment, taste the wines of Israel. They're wonderful, and they run the entire gamut of what you can really love and adore in great wine.
If we talk about religious and being Jewish, they say if you drink not kosher wine, it's like eating not kosher meat, right? They're very strict about it.
Ask your local rabbi about that. But I what they call in America, plead the fifth. I don't know if you can explain that to your listenership, but it really has to do with the pagan ritual rites that were done 5,000 years ago and the rabbinic prohibitions, so that they want to make sure that. We believe, and this is my perspective on it, we believe that the rabbis are saying, when they want you to drink kosher wine, that nobody can sanctify wine except you. So they want to keep it neutral. That's really the objective. Keep the wine neutral so that when it gets into your hands, you can make it special for your daughter's bat mitzvah, or your son's bar mitzvah, or your wedding anniversary, or birthday. It's you that makes it special. We don't want any involvement by anybody else. And the rabbis are there not to make sure that nothing goes into it, not spiritually and not physically.
Tell me who arranged this beautiful day.
Royal Wine is the largest importer of Israeli wines. More than 70% of all Israeli wines brought to America are brought in by Royal Wine. More than 18 Israeli wineries are represented by Royal Wine and our company, which is Royal Wine. And that's who, and also, of course, there's wonderful California wines, French wines, Italian wines. But I think the biggest contingent of wines here are Israeli wines.
As a person who's been in a lot of wine tasting, chapeau, because this is the best one that I've been. And please promise me that you're going to continue this tradition.
Not only will we continue this tradition, this is the third year or the fourth year we've done it here in California. It's been done in our winery restaurant in Tierra Sur up in the county. We moved it to this location so we could have more people who demanded to be here. And I think we're going to move to a larger location next year.
L'chaim.
L'chaim.
Now you have
Nichnas yayin yotze sod.
Yeah, right? Good. Thank you for this interview.
And ein simcha ela b'yayin. And what else?
Yayin
yisamach levav enosh.
Yeah.
Wine gladdens the heart of man.
Yeah. And a woman too.
Well, mankind. Man in the generic sense.
Yeah, okay. Just trying to be funny.
Yeah. I guess I'm not that funny, huh?
You are. You made 100 people to laugh here today. And it's not easy. The audience is tough.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for this interview.
Pleasure's mine. Everybody by the way, my name is Jay Booksbaum. I'm with Royal Wine. We are your hosts today for this exciting wine tasting and food. Oh my gosh, you got to taste some of that food. It's unbelievable from Tierra Sur. Actually, the LA Times called Tierra Sur one of the best restaurants in Ventura County. But just briefly, Israel, as small as it is, people think of it as this vast desert area, very arid, vast desert area. But you can actually go skiing in the morning and scuba diving in the afternoon. Now, what this means, not only, and I've seen people do it, and the reason for that is, not only is that important because it's interesting, but because it shows you that the variety of kinds of grapes that you can grow there is vast. California is similar to that. It has that regional influence of the Pacific Ocean. Israel has the regional influence of the Mediterranean. So you have, as the Consul General was telling us, you have the great regions of the Golan Heights and the Galilee, and also, of course, of the Judean Hills and the Negev and the wine regions in between. What's also interesting is, and he's alluded to that, is that people think that the seat of wine growing comes from maybe France or Italy. Actually, it comes from Israel. The oldest wine presses in the world are not in France, not in Italy, not in Spain, certainly not in the hills of California, but actually in the Judean Hills. 3,000 years plus old, they've found wine presses there. And today we are fortunate to have Eli Ben Zaken as an example, who has started making, in the modern wine growing era, wines in the Judean Hills from some of those same areas that the original wines started from. In fact, recently in the New York Times and in other magazines, there was reported that the word Chardonnay, anybody hear of the word Chardonnay? Okay, the word Chardonnay, everybody thinks is a nice white wine named after the grape Chardonnay, and that's how they came up with the name. Actually, the word Chardonnay, some people posit, is actually a conjunctive of 3 Hebrew words, actually 2 Hebrew words. Shar Adokai, the gates of God. Why? Because every single sacrifice that was made more than 3,000 years ago in the hills of Jerusalem included wine. And therefore, the wine originated there. Where? At the gates of God. And so now we have Chardonnay. And so much of lore comes from that area. I think that over the next several years you'll hear more and more. You've seen Robert Parker in the Wine Enthusiast and Wine Spectator and the New York Times and the LA Times and Wall Street Journal have been writing up Israeli wines an awful lot in the last 10 years. In the last 6 months, something has happened, something's occurred that's never been done before. You've heard of, perhaps, those of you, many are here from Southern Wine and Spirits and other wine-centric kind of companies. You've heard of Food and Wines of France. You've heard of the Italian Trade Commission. You've heard of Wines of Spain. All these people that get together, in fact, California something or other, a bunch of California wineries and regions getting together to try to promote their wines. For the first time in history, 18 wineries from Israel have gotten together and formed a marketing effort called the Israel Wine Producers Association. And here to tell you a little bit about the concept of the Israel Wine Producers Association is the guy who's running it all. I want to introduce you to Joshua Greenstein.